Hi, Avid. Last week you guys submitted a response to a couple of articles about a student. Well, it was kind of written from the parent perspective of how the student is going to choose which school to go to. One being sort of a dream school and a school that they'd really wanted to get into, but that's sort of financially out of reach or that will put them in financial sort of not trouble, but like it'll make it a little more financially complex. And then another school that wasn't a dream school, but was much more affordable. And I posed the discussion to you. And then I also asked you to type up a question that came with from your annotations from the reading, which I'm going to spend a few minutes trying to answer a little bit off the cuff today. I read through them last week and I was really impressed with the questions you guys came up with, and I didn't want them to go unanswered. So I'm going to do the best I can to answer them. And then I'm also going to refer you to a couple of resources that might help with that later on in the week. So as I scroll through these, the first question is, what program could you use to determine the EFC, which is like your estimated family contribution? And really that's going to come from the FAFSA. The FAFSA is great because you have to do it in order to get any sort of financial aid or for schools to even really look at you. But it also kind of sucks sometimes because your financial situation might look different on paper than it is in real life. So let's say my mom and dad made $100,000 combined, and there were only 5 of us living at home at the time when I got ready to leave for college. This is not true, by the way. FAFSA might say that my parents were going to be able to contribute $7,000 or $8,000 a year to my college education, which was absolutely not true because they didn't make that much money and there were too many siblings at home that they were trying to provide for to make that happen. So your EFC comes from the FAFSA, but if there's a giant change in your income level between when you fill the FAFSA out just a couple weeks ago to when you actually are getting ready to pick your school in the spring, there can be some adjustments if needed, but that's where that number comes from. Then the next question is a really good one too. It asks, how do we find out how much financial aid we'll receive from the schools we applied to so that we can make our final decision? You should start receiving that information pretty soon. Once you've provided the application as well as all the supporting documents, your transcripts, your grades, your class schedule, your ACT scores, all that stuff, the schools are going to start putting together financial aid packages for you based off of merit scholarships that you could receive directly from the school, looking at any discounts you might receive for Family Legacy or for programs that you're involved in, what your room and board is going to look like. They'll start sending those packages out via email. You might get some of them through the mail, but I would imagine most of them are going to come through email. So you will start getting that information. It may still take a few weeks. You may not hear anything actually till the beginning of second semester, but be looking for those and continue to apply for scholarships because all those scholarships that you're applying for, even if you receive 1 or 2 or 3 of them, it's all going to count toward your tuition and your room and board. The next question, when applying for scholarships, how do you know which scholarship applies for what colleges you already accepted to? And with the scholarships you get, can you add them all up together? If you're applying for private scholarships, like maybe through the Education Foundation in Park Hill or through like the Elks or Chamber of Commerce, all of those are private scholarships. So you should be able to take them to any school that you go to unless they have specifically said you cannot. So if you apply for the Education Foundation scholarship, it's one of the foundation ones that like a family has left money to Park Hill to give out to students. That should be totally fine. What'll happen is the scholarship will just write a check directly to your school and you'll be able to, they'll apply that to whatever your bill is and you can add as many as you want. And they can all go to the school. There are some scholarships that are only if you go to a specific school. So say Mizzou says, cool, you got a 27 on your ACT, you took some hard classes, you've got some AP, you've got some dual credit, your grades are good, your class rank's high, we're going to give you this scholarship that's only available if you come to our school. So you'll receive that when you receive your financial aid package. They'll tell you what scholarships they're going to give you. When getting a loan, how much do you know, or how do you know how much you're able to get? You have to fill out the FAFSA to figure out exactly what your loan amount is going to be and the school that you go to. So say you choose, Mizzou again or UMKC, you'll receive information from Mizzou or from UMKC that will say, here's the amount of financial aid you're going to receive through scholarships and grants, and then here's the amount of loans you're able to get. And you can choose to take all of the loan, or you could just take a portion of it to cover what you need. But as freshmen and sophomores, you're probably going to get maxed out at about $5,500, because that tends to be all that the FAFSA is going to allow you to have from your typical like state schools. Now, if you're going somewhere that's way more expensive, like a Ivy League school or a higher level school, you may be eligible for more, but probably not. So I would expect to only get about 5,000, 5,500, maybe 6,000 tops for federal loans. And honestly, I would try to avoid any kind of private loans at this point in your education. Private loans might be like you go to UMB or Bank of America. You really should try to avoid those, because they do not have a low interest rate. They're a high interest rate, and they'll give you as much money as you can, as they deem you can have. And it's just a really easy way to get into a lot of debt. So avoid those. They can't be consolidated later. They can't be written off if you do like a civic kind of career. So you'll find out from the FAFSA and from your school how much you're eligible for through your financial aid package. So you got to kind of wait on a financial aid package to figure that out. When does the FAFSA come back? Well, if you filled it out around the time that the assignment was due, you probably immediately got the confirmation that they received it. Usually takes a couple of weeks because they've been inundated with applications all at once. You'll receive a report telling you, like what they think your estimated family income and your SAR, your SAR is, but you have to wait for the school, like wherever you're applying, whether it's in Missouri or out of Missouri, to say, okay, we've received your FAFSA information, and now here's what we can tell you for our school that you're going to be able to get. So it's going to come with your financial aid package. Is there a deadline to when you can pay back your loans? Yes. When you don't pay back your loans as long as you're enrolled in school. So if you have to take a loan out to cover a portion of your tuition or your room and board your freshman year, you don't have to immediately start paying it back. You wait until you've graduated. After you graduate from college, you wait till you graduated, or if you drop out. If you're not enrolled in school and you've already taken out a loan, you have to start paying back pretty much immediately. While you're in school, it gets deferred. So once you graduate, you'll have 6 months, or once you drop out, which we don't want to do, you'd still have 6 months, and then you have to start paying them back. You'll have different kinds of plans available to pay them back. You can do the standard one, which is to pay it back over a course of 10 years. You could do income-based ones where they'll have you make a set monthly payment every month. You guys will learn all of this through the promissory note when you take out a loan. A promissory note and the kind of like loan counseling that you receive when you first take out a loan shows you all of the different options for how much you're taking and how much you'd have to pay back and when that will start. You have to go through all of that stuff for your loans, and it should be pretty clear, but it can be kind of confusing. Like they'll give you a lot of numbers and you have to kind of figure it out. But for most people, as long as you stay in school, you don't have to start paying back until 6 months after you graduate. And then if you go back to school to get a master's, your loans, you can defer them again, or you can hold off on paying them again. So as long as you're in school, you don't have to pay them. It's once you graduate or if you drop out, that you start paying them back. And I would say, usually they say about 10 years, but if you're making income-based ones, it could be a lot longer for when you pay them back. Is there such a thing as too much financial aid help? No. If you get merit-based scholarships from your school and financial aid grants and stuff like that from your school, they'll apply that first. And then if you apply for and win some private scholarships, they'll send it directly to your school. So say it's going to cost you $15,000 for tuition and room and board your freshman year, and you end up getting $17,000 worth of aid and scholarships, you'll actually get a credit to your student account for $2,000 that you'll be able to take and either apply to the next year, or you'll have that $2,000 available to you to use however you need, whether that be to help out with other living expenses like gas and car payments and stuff, or whether it be to have extra money in your student account or whatever it is. So you can never have too much. You can take too many loans, but you can't get too many scholarships. Do all schools accept multiple scholarships, and what is the maximum amount of money a student can make on scholarships? Pretty much, if they're private scholarships, schools will take them. So yeah, I mean, as long as if you're applying for, like I said, the kind of scholarships Avid is having you apply for, or I'm having you apply for, all of those all of those scholarships should go to whatever school you decide to go to. And there's really no max on how much you can get. So might as well apply for all of them. When choosing a perfect fitted college, do you look for a college that will fit you academically or fit you socially? I would say both. Obviously, academically, if the school you go to doesn't have a major you're interested in, it's not the school for you, because you don't want to go to a school that you can't get the degree you want to get. But social is important too. Some people are going to love big schools. Some people are going to love little schools. Maybe you want to have a more intimate setting. Maybe you want to go to a big school that has lots of sports and clubs and stuff. Obviously, you're there to get a degree. So I think you need to focus on academics, make sure it has your degree program. But a lot of schools are going to have so many degree programs, that's not going to be an issue. Then you think about, do I want to be in a big school or a little school? Do I want to be in a big city or in a rural area? Because remember, you get a different feel. We went to Maryville and saw Northwest. You're kind of up on the north part of Missouri, kind of away from a lot of things, but they had a pretty good campus life kind of situation going on. But then there's UMKC, which is comparable in price, but is in the middle of downtown Kansas City. So they're very different environments. You need to figure out what fits for you. And neither one of those schools is really big, because then if you compare both of those to Mizzou, Mizzou is a top school for athletics and clubs and all that kind of stuff, but it's also a giant campus. So find out what feels good for you. Do sizes in the community around the college and throughout the college campus matter or have a huge advantage for one person? It's really person to person. Do you want to go to a big school or do you want to go to a smaller place? Does money really matter to you if you're living your dreams to your dream college with or without loans, grants, or scholarships? I think that's a personal thing. Some people have their heart set on a particular school and they may feel gypped if they don't go to it. Other people may think, I can't get myself into debt because if I do, I'm going to have a hard time getting out of it. I want to be a social worker. I'm never going to make that much money. So I just need to go to a school that's affordable. It really is just your personal preference. So that's one that we can talk about further if that's a question you have, but it's going to ultimately come up to you. How many scholarships can you apply to? As many as you want. There's no limit. Private scholarships, you can take them to any school you decide to go to, unless they specifically say no, but most of them won't. Can you also do a work study while you're on scholarship money? Yes, you can get scholarships and you can do a work study. And then the next question asks, if you work at your college, can the money go towards your tuition? Yes. Your work study money, they'll ask you if you want to apply it to your tuition and room and board, if you want to split it and apply it to your tuition, room and board, and then also have some of it in cash. Like, you can kind of work on a deal out for that, but it's up to you. But work studies are also a good way to have a job on campus that pays okay and will work really well with your schedule. So definitely something that is worth looking into if you know you're going to want to work part-time or whatever while you're in school. So that's all the questions that you guys posed to me. Like I said, they were really good questions, and I wanted to make sure that I got them answered from what I know. I'm going to direct you, put a couple links for some other resources that might have good information, but I'm hoping that my explanations, while quick, helped. And obviously, if you have follow-up questions or you want to talk to me more specifically about your situation, come see me or hop onto one of my office hour Zooms. Okay, miss you guys.